The second bullet point on here, is my STRS pension enough to retire on? Per CalSTRS themselves, CalSTRS on average replaces 62% of your pre-retirement income. So you basically have to decide how much you need to retire on. Now, maybe 62% is enough, but I would say probably not. You're probably going to need to have to come up with additional funds.
Could you repeat it one more time? Could you repeat it just one more time?
Sure. That number?
Yes.
That it's on, CalSTRS on average replaces 62% of your pre-retirement income.
Thank you.
Bill?
Yes.
Is that taking into consideration the average retiree?
I think so. I don't know the exact number. Yes, probably your question, Paul, is it probably is a myriad depending on if you're adjunct or anything else. But
it'd be full time that they're talking about because they give us charts.
I think so. Yes. I've not seen. They print that on their website and other things. I've not seen the exact number where they come up from, but it's probably in one of their reports that I've got around here somewhere that's like from, where do I have them in here? It's CalSTRS. I mean, when you go to the board meetings, my gosh, do I have it over here? I'm trying to think because some of the, I mean, here's an example of how thick some of this was just from the last board meeting, and that was just one meeting, how thick the stuff is. So if you're really analytical and enjoy reading this stuff, there's a lot of information you can glean from CalSTRS publications. Does that answer your question, Paul?
I was just trying to make that 62% number meaningful.
Mm-hmm, sure.
You know,
very good
if somebody
question.
works 15, 18 years, it might not be. If they work 25 years, it probably is more accurate. And if they go beyond that, it might get it up to 70%.
Yeah, because, and I'll talk about this, but I'll jump to it for just a second. The CalSTRS is based on a 2% at age 60 calculation. So if you use that number, okay, if somebody retired at 60, that would mean that they had 31 years of service. So yes, it would be more along the lines of that career educator who's taught in state of California under CalSTRS. Was there another question?
So the assumption is if you have 62% of the pre-retirement income, then you want to backfill that to get to an ideal of 100% of your pre-retirement income. And that you achieve through other means like a 401k or 403b or whatever.
Yeah, and I would agree, yeah. See, my next thing on here, my note to myself is the rule of thumb we usually say is 80 to 90%. I say shoot for 100 because I always use the question when I was saying to you guys earlier before we went on air was we call retirement the ultimate vacation kit. And actually when I would design retirement plans, that's what we called them. Well, I ask the question all the time, do you spend more money when you're working or when you're on vacation? I don't know about you, but when I'm on vacation, I'm spending more money than when I'm working. So I'm always the philosophy, hey, it's going to be great if you retire on more income than you need. The issue for most people in America is they don't have enough to retire on. You know, I'm at the tail end of the baby boomer. I'm 47. Doing my numbers right now, I just did them the other day. I need to save about $60,000 a year so that I have my my $3 million by the age of 65. So I've got a very large number to save for, but I live way below my means. But most people don't. Yes.
But assuming vacation is something you do just part of the year, even if you're in retirement, you could take a vacation from retirement, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can.
And then you're not spending at that level that you are on vacation
usually
all the time. So
it's
a philosophical, shift
good point you make. The studies that I've seen, and I have a couple clients that are about 90, but I have clients probably from their early 30s all the way to, I have two clients that one will be turning 90 like in a week, and another one I think is 92. Most of my clients right now are typically 55 to 65, maybe up to 70. And I can tell you a couple things from that experience. I'll talk about the statistics and then my own clients. Statistics typically say your first maybe, I don't know how many years, but when you first retire, you want to take all those trips. It's that pent-up demand. Hey, I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Hawaii. We want to go all those places. So maybe those first 5 or 10 years you spend a lot of money. Well, then you get to a point where you're saying, hey, I've done all the travel, I'd rather just stay at home and enjoy myself. So that happens. Then the third stage is when your health gets not as good. That's when you're having to go into the long-term care facility or something else. So it's usually, you know, the income is high here, then it kind of goes lower, and then it goes back up again. I would say for most of my clients, because they're good savers, and a lot of them are school teachers, that most of the times when they're taking money out of those supplemental 403Bs, 457s, and 401Ks, it's more to take a trip. Or I had one client that, you know, they want to make a big purchase and those type of things. It's usually somebody calling me saying, hey, Bill, or I had a client, hey, I need to put a new roof on my house. It's going to cost me $10,000. I need to take that out of my thing. So that's because the bulk of them are living on that 62%, or a lot of times, a lot of these are career educators. Some of them might have 35, 40 years. They've got a large amount. Because again, going back to that CalSTRS is a defined benefit plan, you typically, as a public employee in CalSTRS, your pension benefit that you're going to get out of CalSTRS as a replacement ratio to your income is going to be substantially more than Social Security, even if you don't get that 62%. Because Social Security is a social insurance program and is really supposed to be for the lower income people. It replaces a lot higher levels at lower incomes than it does at upper incomes.